You don't care if you catch my AIDS?
No. Because I know you have all the AIDS.
Yeah, I have multiple AIDS.
Yes.
Actually.
All of them. Okay, I'm good.
Are we done? Are we ready to get this thing on the road?
I mean, if by thing you mean shit show and by road you mean the bathroom. I don't know.
You know what? From now on, that's what I want to do. I want to record this podcast from the bathroom. Well, we have an opening.
Yes. All right, let's do this shit.
Hello, and welcome to Watz Podcast, episode 5.
Wow, 5
Holy
episodes already.
Fuck! We're halfway to 10 whole episodes.
We're no longer juveniles in the podcasting arena. We have 5 episodes now.
Okay, so
Yes.
you were late.
Yes, I was.
Why the fuck were you late? What are you about to inflict on me?
I brought some more shit for us to try.
So tell us what this is.
Right now, I have ice cream in front of us.
Yes, you do.
Not just any ice cream.
It is purple, I'll point out.
It's purple because it's taro ice cream.
Which I don't know what that is.
Neither do I.
It's made with real taro, though.
Yep. It says on the back here, what is taro? Taro ice cream is made with real taro. Okay, that doesn't say shit. God damn it. I thought it had, because it looked like it had a definition back here.
Well,
I'm
we're not going to look this up.
Yes. Apparently it's made in Pittsburgh, California, though.
It does look like some kind of a root, though. Like It looks almost like a purple potato.
That might be what it is.
Just a purple potato?
Yes. Ooh. It was $8. And for $8, I better be getting a hand job from it.
It smells bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Like it smells like, like starchy.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I don't even know how to describe this flavor. I mean, it is sweet, but
it's very sweet.
It does taste like you poured sugar over a potato almost. But it's got kind of like a floury sort of scenty aftertaste. I don't know. It's really hard to explain.
And it is purple, by the way. That the packaging did not lie.
Yes, it is. It's not bad though.
Yeah,
I could eat like a little bit of it. You know what I mean? Like I think it would wear out its welcome pretty quickly, but it's not bad for just a bite or two.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I made a good purchase then.
Okay, that can go back in the freezer now.
Yes. So we are here today to talk about stuff because there's not much actually happening.
No, I've got some stuff to talk about. Yeah.
Or at least I couldn't find much.
One of my topics is a follow up to a previous topic. So yeah, that'll be fun. But
delicious.
We are going to start with what we've been watching.
All right. What I watched, the sole thing I watched, was the Junji Ito collection.
Okay. Yes. Explain what this is.
This is an anime based on the writings of horror writer Junji Ito. Mm-hmm. He writes a horror manga that is actually pretty good. There's some really weird, surreal shit.
Yeah, really out there stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Yes.
Which is why he's interesting.
Very. There are 3 episodes that are out. I have notes and I'm trying to find the right ones.
You've got like a massive pile of notes.
The only reason is because the fucking notepads I have a design on them that I can't write over, which is fucking dumb for a notepad.
It has a German Shepherd puppy on it.
Yes, it does. Here's the right one to start with. So, the Junji Ito collection was adapted from 2 different sources by Junji Ito. From his 11-volume collection, which was the Junji Ito Masterpiece Collection, which is a collection of like his shorter stories, a bunch of shorter stories, and from the collection Horror Fragments. From that, the episodes are formatted in it's sort of like an omnibus format, where it's, short stories that aren't really related to each other, unlike a anthology.
Right.
And it's formatted with one longer story as the main story, and then a shorter bonus story. And so the longer story will go first, and then the shorter stories
ones will follow it.
is on the end, yes.
Yeah.
And it's going to run for 12 episodes, plus 2 OVAs, which OVAs are like longer.
It's an anime. There's fucking always OVAs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those OVAs I found interesting aren't going to air on television from what I could see.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're going to come with the DVDs.
Yeah, that's sort of usually how it plays out with OVAs.
And so the OVAs adapt the part 1 and part 2 of the Tomy stories, which they made 5 movies of beforehand, a long while ago, back in like.
Wait, are those the live action ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that sucked.
Looked awful.
Yes, they sucked.
Yeah, I have not seen any of these. I am familiar with the writer though.
Yes.
He has a few stories that I like. But I also think he gets a little bit too wrapped up in his own weirdness a lot of the time.
Yes, and that is definitely one of the first one. The first episode is kind of bad.
Okay.
Like, really, it starts on the second episode. Because the first episode follows the story of Soichi's convenient curses.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it is the character Soichi, who's a mentally disturbed young man, is going around putting curses on his classmates, like making them be tortured in the bathroom by a giant spider or, giant ant creature in the in the forest.
How'd you know my fetish?
And making one of his
Oh, you were just processing.
and making one of his classmates decide to hibernate in the forest until spring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the adaptations are, if you take the manga, they pretty much follow the panels and how the episode flows. It's pretty much an exact adaptation of it. And it just felt kind of boring. Honestly. Like, it was boring and it was just sort of awkward. The second episode is where it gets much better. I don't remember the names of the issues it covers.
Uh-huh.
One of them I found interesting because it was about an amateur film group in school, in like their high school.
Okay.
They apparently win some prize for a festival, and they do an open casting for their next project. And they end up with this really creepy lady who turns out to have like fangs and shit, and then eats their other actress and then tries to kill them.
That just sounds
fucking
like
weird.
That just sounds like an anime, though,
right?
Like, it sounds like a shitty harem anime that takes place in like a monster high school.
The second part of that it covers the Long Dreams story. I remember that one. Looking at the cards now, I have that one written down.
Has there been an episode that covers the blah 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 of blah 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 faults? Whatever that's called.
The Enigma at Amigara fault.
Yeah.
No, not yet. And they have not announced which ones will be adapted.
They
from that,
have to do that one though, right? Like,
I mean, that's one of the more popular ones.
Yeah, that's how I knew his work. So real quick, that story I find really interesting.
Yeah.
Which is basically like a fault opens up just out of Japan, right? And it's got all of these people-shaped holes in it. And people find themselves drawn to these holes.
Yep.
And once they find their hole, like everybody has a hole that belongs to them, and once they find it,
they strip down and enter the hole.
That's
literally what it is.
It is. They take all their clothes off and they just sort of relinquish themselves to the hole, and they get like sucked into it, and nobody knows where these people are going
until months later.
And it's discovered. You should totally go read that story, and I won't spoil it for you because it is kind of fucked up and interesting.
Yes, it's the Enigma at Amigara Fault. If you look it up on Google,
you'll find it for free.
Yes, yeah. Somebody posted the entire story on Imgur.
Well, there's also tons of people that will just read you the story on YouTube. I don't know why I almost just said eBay.
On eBay.
They'll read you the story on eBay.
Hey, I mean, if people will pay for that, fuck it, let's do it.
And then there's the other one, the Spiral one.
The Spiral one. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Well, that's a series of stories. It's not just one. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll end up doing it in this anime. But,
I don't think so. Then.
But that series of stories having to do with the Spiral, I do not remember what it's called, but it should be easy enough to look up.
Yeah.
I also find really interesting, but it's also the best example of him getting too wrapped up in his own weirdness.
Is it the chair one?
No.
where the dude turns himself into a chair.
Yeah, but that's a different one.
Okay. There are plenty examples.
There are a lot
of
weird shit, but no, there's the one where people become obsessed with spirals and start trying to like contort themselves into spirals and shit.
Yeah, right. I remember that story.
The first one or two are decent, and then they just start getting weird for the sake of weird, which makes them way less interesting.
I'm not sure. You may be talking about Uzumaki. I'm not sure.
That sounds right.
Anyways,
so what other episodes are there in this anime?
The third episode, because Long Dreams isn't all it is somebody's having, dreams that are exponentially increasing in length, and he starts like evolving into this weird alien-like creature. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, there's somebody who has a terminal illness, and the guy who's having the long dreams has imagined that she was his wife, and then he dies, and he turns into dust, and the doctor finds that there's like these unknown crystals inside of his brain, and then he starts injecting the lady who's afraid of dying with them, and she starts having long dreams like that. And then the doctor decides we could cure humanity of fearing death.
Of course.
It makes perfect sense when you think about it.
That sounds about on par with his writing. Yeah. Like, I should be clear, I do like his writing.
Yes.
But there's no defense for some of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the third episode, it's the Crossroads Pretty Boy story. So I guess fortune telling in the fog at dusk is like a thing or something.
Okay.
There's like a dude called the Crossroads Pretty Boy who walks around. Dude's got fucking lipstick and one earring. So you know where that's going. And he just walks around, and all of the girls at the high school are asking, will my love be realized or whatever? Mm-hmm. And he just keeps telling them no, and then they'll commit suicide.
Of course.
And so...
I just remembered another one of my favorite ones that I like, where they're being attacked by giant balloon heads.
Right.
I love that one. That was hilarious. They have to do that one, right? They fucking have to.
Yes.
There's no way. Like, they have to do the whatever faults one.
Yeah.
And they have to do the giant balloon head murderous people one.
Yes.
Because those two are great. Yeah.
Fucking amazing. But third one was sort of, I want to say, on par. As I'm talking about the Crossroads Pretty Boy, it was sort of on that weird, like, okay, this happened sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it goes from the Crossroads Pretty Boy to the main character who moved away when he was a kid and is now moved back. He was running through the fog as a kid. Like, this is done in a flashback. He was running through the fog as a kid and met some lady who was looking to get her fortune read.
Okay.
And he said no, that her love wouldn't be realized. And she killed herself. And then it turns out that he finds out that it was his girlfriend's aunt or something. And it just devolves from there into this weird love triangle with one of his girlfriend's friends stalking him. And then she kills herself. And then he decides to go around doing the opposite of what the Crossroads Pretty Boy does and telling everybody that their fortunes will come true. His girlfriend tries to get her fortune read. And then he shows up just in time after seeing all the people that committed suicide because of this. He shows up just in time to keep her from getting her fortune read.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, yeah. I wrote this down here, and I'm having trouble making sense of it. I don't know why, but these 3 episodes, some of the stories, like the second episode, the stories I don't really find any fault with. Mm-hmm. They're fine. They're creepy. They're weird. But the first and the third episode have had the stories that they've adapted have just been like, why did you adapt that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've already mentioned 3 others that could have taken the place of that one. Yes. I mean,
the shorter story in that third episode is the Slug Girl story.
Okay.
Where a girl is sick and is having trouble speaking. And then it turns out her tongue has turned into a banana slug. And to solve...
Of course.
Yes. And to solve this problem, her parents decide to submerge her in a bathtub full of salt. And when they go to take her out of it, they just find her head and her body's like shrunk completely. And the slug didn't die and is now using the head for a shell.
Of course.
And apparently, if you get close to the shell, the shell, the head of the girl, the eyes will open and give you a sad look. It's like, I mean, it's short enough where it's like, okay, that was weird. But when you think about it, it's like, of course, Japan,
Yeah, this guy really does sort of, he's the best example to point to of what Japan finds scary.
Yeah.
In air quotes, because what Japan seems to find scary isn't scary things, it's weird things.
Yes.
Where it's like, where we would look at that and go, that's just odd.
Yeah.
Japan would call it horror.
Yes.
It's a cultural thing that I do not understand.
Yeah. But anyways, that's really the only thing I watched.
Okay, is this only in Japanese or is there an English dub?
There will be an English dub. It's only in Japanese. It's done by Studio Dean, who did Fate Stay Night, Vampire Night, and Hetalia Axis Powers.
All right.
But the dub will be done by Funimation.
Okay, so it'll at least be a halfway decent dub then.
Yes. I don't think there's a release date for the dub yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've announced that. But I did find the releasing sort of interesting for the DVDs. It's being released on 3 DVDs.
That's the Japanese, though. This is how they always do their shit. Do you have any fucking idea how many DVDs the Dragon Ball franchise is on?
Yeah.
You have to take up an entire wall worth of DVDs if you want the whole collection of Dragon Ball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I do. I'm just saying. We're not getting into Dragon Ball. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the OVAs, it'll be one on the second disc and one on the third disc.
Okay.
So I found that weird. The DVDs, they come out. The first one is March 30th of this year. Then the second one is April 27th. And then the third one's May 25th.
And of course, this is for the Japanese release.
Yes.
Not the dub.
The dub has...
no
release date. I don't even know if they've begun working on the dub because there isn't too much information.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very fascinating release. Okay. I mean, it's typical Japan, but I don't know, for 12 episodes.
Okay,
it just seems ridiculous.
For 12 episodes, that is a little bit weird. But I mean, if you look at any of the animes that have upwards of 50-ish episodes, they'll just release it in 20 different volumes.
And the animation's nice. It's it looks like the manga. They definitely drew it to look like a moving manga.
Okay.
Rather than, typical anime.
Does it look like it has a budget behind it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's all I watched. The rest of my notes are for other stuff. So, Devin, what have you watched recently?
Yeah, so I've watched a few things. One I actually watched a while ago, and I just forgot to talk about it, so we're going to talk about that today.
All right.
And then I watched 2 things. Well, one thing that I've seen multiple times, and another thing that, whoo boy, that one's going to be fun when we get to it. But we will start with Midnight Express.
All right.
Have you ever seen Midnight Express?
I have not. You mean the remake here? The new one?
No. The original 70s Midnight Express.
I don't remember it.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about it.
No, I was thinking on Orient Express.
No, Midnight Express.
Midnight Express. No, I've not seen that one then.
Okay. Was made in the late 70s. It is a true story, something that happened in the early 70s. So, movie got made quick, man. But
I mean, they made movies quick in that day.
Yeah, that's not even a joke. So it is a true story about a guy who was smuggling drugs, I think, out of Turkey, and they caught him and sent him to Turkish prison.
Oh, right. Okay. I've heard of the actual story. I haven't seen the movie or heard of the movie. So
okay. Well, the movie was fairly famous because it caused a controversy in that even the guy the movie is about says that the movie drastically mischaracterizes Turkey and its people. So
I mean, in the 70s, I wouldn't be surprised.
And as written by Oliver Stone, I really wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, this was Oliver Stone's first major film. He wrote it. He did not direct it. It was directed by a director who I don't know anything else that he did. The movie itself, if you don't look at it as a true story, is okay. It's decent. It's watchable. it's interesting enough. It keeps you, it pulls you through it pretty well.
Yes.
But it is very slow. But if you look at it as a true story, it's basically just one big exaggeration. And that's pretty much all it is. If you try to watch it as a true story, watch it and then imagine all of that, except way less interesting, and you've got the true story.
Sounds about right.
I don't really have too much to say about it. In all honesty, I kind of mostly just found it interesting because it was written by Oliver Stone. It was not the first movie that he wrote, but it was the first movie that had like a release that he wrote. Other than that, it's nice to have seen once. It's a good Blu-ray transfer. I might watch it again, but no time soon. It does, however, have a rather lovely digibook that you can pick up for only $10, which is why I ended up with it.
Nice.
So, moving on from that, what I watched next was James Cameron's Avatar, a movie that I have seen multiple times. And I wanted to bring up this time because I was watching it and I was studying it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, thinking about why is this to be clear, I like the movie, right? I'm not one of those people that is just all shitty about it, like, fucking Avatar is just fucking Dances with Wolves in Space. Yes, it's Dances with Wolves in Space. Who gives a shit?
Dances with Wolves in Space with blue Native Americans.
Yeah. Who cares? Fine, whatever. What counts is how you tell the story, right? So I like the movie. I bust it out once every couple of years and give it a watch.
Yeah.
And I was watching it this time, and in my head, I was comparing it to Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about why Dances with Wolves is a better movie. Two things struck me. If you watch Dances with Wolves, the relationship between John Dunbar and the native group is a two-way relationship. He's interested in them, they are interested in him. There are plenty of scenes that go back and forth where he's showing them, my coffee grinder, and then they show him fucking buffalo skin or whatever. Yeah. And there's a back and forth. There's an interest going both ways between the two groups.
Yeah.
In Avatar, it's one way. He, as in, what's his name?
Sam Worthington's character.
Jake Sully, right?
Ah, yes.
He is interested and falls in love with their fucking...
The princess of the tribe.
Well, he falls in love with their way of life, right?
Oh. They don't the princess of the tribe.
Yes. They don't give a fuck about him, though.
Yeah.
Right? They don't give a shit about human culture or anything that we have to offer.
Yeah.
So it's a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
It's just Jake being like, you guys are great. Humanity sucks. I'm going to live with you.
Yeah, I think they even said that they didn't want humanity's help.
Yeah, they do. They don't want anything to do with humanity, which could be interesting, but they do nothing with it in the story.
Yeah.
It ultimately comes off as humans suck and people who live in the trees are great.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a very simplistic read of the movie, but ultimately that's how it comes off. And the other thing is characterization, right? If you look at Dances with Wolves, every character is characterized, right? They're depthful. They have multiple sides. Like, in both movies, you have the stern one that just wants to fight. But in Dances with Wolves, that character is also kind of goofy. Like, you see him in the tribe and he's like fucking around and playing around.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, he's built a real relationship with John, and he's really sad to see him leave at the end, right?
Yeah.
In in Avatar, this character is just sort of an asshole, and that's it. It doesn't change through the movie. By the end of the movie, he respects Jake Sully because he found a big bird. That's about it, right? There's no relationship built between the two. Jake found a big bird, and now everybody's like, oh, even though you betrayed us, welcome back.
Yep.
Including the main love interest, whatever her name is.
Neytiri.
She was like, get the fuck out of here, Jake. Oh, you found a big bird? Hi. And yeah, like I said, I do like the movie, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand the people who think it's a fucking masterpiece. James Cameron pushed technology in it.
Oh, yeah,
like, I'll
for
give
sure.
it that. It's a technical masterpiece, but
Yes,
whenever...
and it still looks pretty good.
It does, but whenever people call it a masterpiece, that's not what they mean.
No.
You know, I don't understand people who get so unquestionably sucked into the story. You know what I mean? Because all of the characters in James Cameron fashion are pretty surface level. There's really no depth to them. It's a very surface level romance. You know, the whole thing only goes one way. There's no back and forth, like I said. So I didn't really have much more to say on it than that. It's just, I was watching it again and just going, God damn it, Dances with Wolves is a better movie.
Yeah.
And so is Lawrence of Arabia, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. So, with that out of the way, the one that I really wanted to talk about this week, The Snowman. Now, you said you have not seen this movie.
No, I have not.
But you were interested.
I was interested for the fact that it had Michael Fassbender, and...
It doesn't just have Michael Fassbender. It has Michael Fassbender, J.K. Simmons...
That was it.
Val Kilmer...
Val Kilmer.
And Toby Jones.
Yes. Lots of...
Holy shit.
Really actors who I like.
Michael Fassbender, at least for me, is the least of them. Like, Michael Fassbender has done a lot of duds, let's be honest.
The Assassin's Creed movie.
He did this directly after the Assassin's Creed movie. Literally, he stepped onto the set of this 4 days after he wrapped on Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. But for the fact it had all those actors, and it was supposed to be in a slasher in the snow or something like that. I can't remember.
It's not a slasher. It's supposed to be
That's how it was marketed.
No, it wasn't. It was marketed like Seven or Bone Collector. You know, one of those sort of...
Or Seven in the Snow.
Yeah, exactly. I rented this movie to watch with Francisco.
Yeah.
I had been interested in it, kind of. He thought it just looked hilarious and stupid. I didn't really get that from the trailer. I thought he was being hard on it. But as we found out as we watched it, it has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes critical score.
Ouch.
7%. And only a 20% audience score. Yeah, that's painful right there. So, let's start out on this. I'm not going to do like a whole full-on review, but there are a few key things that I wanted to hit on. First and most notably, do you know what the main character's fucking name is?
No.
This is not a joke. The main character's name is Harry Hole.
Wait, isn't this based on a book, this movie?
Yes, it is based on...
God damn it, who named the character Harry Hole?
We were laughing the entire goddamn movie. This was based on a Norwegian book. Not just a Norwegian book.
That figures.
Not just a Norwegian book, but the 7th book in a series. Right?
Yeah,
there have been no other movies. They just decided to pluck the 7th one out and make that. And yeah, okay. Norway, different language. Harry Hole isn't going to be nearly as funny there as it is here, right?
Yeah, but it's an American movie.
It's an American movie. How do you not change that fucking name? Like, our main character that we want, presumably, to be a franchise, his name is going to be Harry Hole. Like, his name is going to be Harry Hole.
Well, you just brightened my day with that.
So, yeah, that's our main character's name. Now, the director made some statements after the movie came out. The director knows the movie is trash, and he has absolutely no problem talking about it.
Nice.
And what he said is that the production was incredibly rushed, and that they had way too short a time to be filming in Norway. They filmed in Norway, by the way. They had way too short a time to film there. And so there was like 15, he said he estimated 15% of the script that was left unfilmed. And
that is a large number.
Yes, it is. And he says, like, even the director of the movie says, oh yeah, the plot is unfollowable. Like, even the director of the movie said, don't worry if you can't follow the plot. Like, you just can't, because we didn't shoot 15% of the script.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there was an entire score made for the movie that wasn't used. They scored the movie, trashed it, and rescored it again. So the whole production on this movie was a clusterfuck, right?
It's fucking fascinating.
And so here's to give you just an example of how little respect somebody had for the source material. I don't think it doesn't sound like it was a director, so it sounds like it was a producer in a suit somewhere, right?
All right.
They took out all Norwegian language. So
really,
nobody speaks Norwegian. Even though they're supposedly in Norway, everything's written in English, including like police on the side of a police car is written in English. You see like in like destinations in a train, it's all English. Newspapers all written in English. Nobody even has a Norwegian accent.
Yet they shot in Norway.
Yes. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Figure that shit out. Now, all the characters have an accent, but they're very, very light accents, and they're not Norwegian. They're just fucking random accents.
Well, I'm sure Michael Fassbender's whatever accent.
Oh, he just has a British accent.
Yeah, so he has his regular accent then.
But J.K. Simmons put on an accent, which was hilarious, by the way. It was awful and not Norwegian. If I had just watched the movie, I would not know that it takes place in Norway. I had to look up stuff about the movie to figure out that it's supposed to take place in Norway. It's a Norwegian book filmed in Norway that takes place in Norway, and they took all of Norway out of it. The only thing left is that they have European wall sockets. That's about it. Val Kilmer was in this movie for some reason.
That's fascinating.
For some reason. His character has nothing to do with the main plot.
Yeah.
He just sort of shows up on screen, does random stuff. He's a drunk. And he's just drunk. That's all he does. And then the movie just leaves him behind halfway through. And apparently Val Kilmer was battling cancer at the time. And so whatever medication he was on or whatever made his tongue swell. So all of his lines are dubbed. That wouldn't be so bad. Like, make accommodations for your actors, fine.
Yeah.
But the dubbing is some of the worst I have ever seen. Ever in my life. Like, it is fucking awful. It looks like you're watching a Japanese film that's just been dubbed in English.
I was about to say.
It is awful. Like, completely out of time. It's like they just told Val Kilmer to record it on his phone at home without watching the footage and just say the line, and they'll just put it over. That's what it looks like, because it's completely out of time. There's not even an attempt to sync it to his mouth at all. So yeah,
fascinating.
Val Kilmer's in the movie for some reason. He just disappears, having not done anything halfway through.
Johnny Depp and Tusked him.
Yeah, at least Johnny Depp and Tusk did something.
That's true.
J.K. Simmons was in it for some reason. I have no idea what his character was or why he was there. And Toby Jones only shows up for one scene. So, like, all of these good actors are just there for some reason.
I have no idea.
It is a fascinating clusterfuck. Like, I would never have imagined that this movie would be this bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and the worst thing, it was so boring. It was so boring. I would not have finished it except that I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right? Like, I would have turned it off half an hour in. The movie is really desperately boring. So,
fascinating.
If you were planning on watching that movie, don't. Like, even if you can watch it for free, it's not worth it. It's not even, like, funny bad. It's just boring. It is mind-numbing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still slightly fascinated in it just for this.
Like, I'm telling you, everybody is going to say that.
But if I watch it, it'll be in, like, 5-10 years.
It's, like, Francisco said that he was actively bored by it. As in, he would have been more entertained had he not been watching something. Right? Like, trying to pay attention to the movie makes you even more bored than not doing anything. Okay?
That's very fascinating.
It is, it was a clusterfuck of a production, and it shows, and the movie is just boring. The only reason to watch it, maybe, is if you're like a film student. Yeah. And you can take something away from
how not to make a film.
Yeah. Or, how a studio can fuck you.
Yeah. That's a better lesson.
They did some other, like, really fucking weird shit, too. Like I said, this movie is the 7th in a series of books. Why make that one instead of start with the first one?
Yeah.
And 2, there's a character in this one that they killed off that's still in 3 more of the books. So, like, somebody somewhere just saw an opportunity. Basically, you know what it felt like? It felt like David Fincher should have directed this movie because it was essentially a mashup between Seven and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, the whole thing just...
Except not good.
Yeah, except it was shit. I mean, there were some shots in it that were straight up, I would almost classify as rip-offs from Fincher movies. So yeah, terrible, terrible movie. Don't watch it, please. Don't give them money. All right, so that's all I've been watching. Are we ready to get into topics?
Sure.
Okay, so I lied. I did watch one other thing.
Oh, okay.
I watched It.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Now, this is...
We've talked about it
We've talked about this, but this leads into my topic. So I watched It with my dad, who had not seen it. He's both a horror fan and a Stephen King fan. So tossed it in. He really liked it. I have my complaints about it.
Yeah.
But
which we talked about.
But what I want to talk about is, so it just came out on DVD, and we talked about 1922 and Gerald's Game, which are out on Netflix.
Yes.
I want to talk about this fucking bizarre idea of a Stephen King cinematic universe that they seem to be pushing.
Yeah, because Dark Tower was supposed to be like the connective tissue for that.
Dark Tower came out, which was complete trash, by the way. I mean, really bad. And the Dark Tower books sort of tie all of Stephen King's stories and universes and shit together into one.
Yeah.
And so that was the idea with the Dark Tower movie, was to make basically a Stephen King cinematic universe and have them all tied together with the Dark Tower series of movies. So we're going to start seeing a fuck ton of Stephen King movies.
Yes. Pet Sematary is coming out this year, I think.
Yeah.
Next year.
And we're going to see these movies because It did so well. Not because Dark Tower did well. Dark Tower was trash. Nobody liked it. But It did really insanely well. It's one of the top grossing horror movies of all time, if not the top grossing. So yeah, here are some of the movies that we can look forward to, I say sarcastically, in the coming couple of years. Pet Sematary.
Yep.
Firestarter. Both of these are remakes, of course.
Yep.
The Stand, which is also a remake of a miniseries. Creepshow 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about time we had a 4th Creepshow, right?
I didn't even know there was a 3rd one.
Neither did I. So yeah, Creepshow 4. Sure. Okay. Now, one of the things that I had been saying is modern Hollywood gives absolutely zero fucks about stepping on toes, right?
Yeah.
So it's only going to be a matter of time before they cross a line. And they are already scraping that line as hard as they fucking can. Okay? Are you ready for these next couple?
Yes.
Hearts in Atlantis.
Okay.
They're making, which is... They've already made a movie about it. It had Anthony Hopkins in it. And when I saw that movie, the first thing I thought was, this should have been directed by Frank Darabont. Because it is very, like, sort of Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption sort of a movie. It's a drama. It's a slow drama about a guy who can basically read minds. He has The Shining, okay?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the whole Stephen King thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody who had supernatural powers had the shine.
So they're taking this movie that has potential in the right hands.
Yes.
And do you know who they're giving it to?
Who?
They're giving it to... I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name.
Yeah.
Johannes Roberts. He directed 47 Meters Down.
Oh.
Yeah, let's give that guy a drama. Yeah, of course. Well. That makes complete sense. Yeah, like I said, It fucking should be directed by Frank Darabont, the guy who brought us The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, and The Mist. Give it to him, and he'll give us a good movie.
God, that sounds like if you took Steven Soderbergh and said, "Here, make a small little drama."
That is sort of, I wouldn't call that really crossing the line.
Yeah.
Right? It's just sort of annoying. Because it's like, here's what could potentially be like a really good sort of Oscar-worthy drama that you're just going to turn into shit.
Yeah.
Here's where the line crossing becomes questionable.
Is it The Langoliers? Please tell me
no.
it is. Damn it.
Although I couldn't find that they're making The Langoliers.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. I just wanted them to make Langoliers again.
No. Here's what they're making. You ready for this?
Yes.
They're making The Overlook Hotel, which is a prequel to The Shining.
Why?
And they are making Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining.
Why?
Here's my question, right?
All right.
Stephen King legendarily hates Stanley Kubrick's Shining.
Yes.
Which is why he went off and he did his own miniseries version of it, which sucks.
Supposedly, in recent years, he's been more okay with The Shining.
I think I've heard that too.
He still doesn't like it, but he's okay with it existing.
And I feel like that is something that people should know when they watch The Shining, is it is not Stephen King's The Shining. It is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Stanley Kubrick does or did what he always did.
And made Stanley Kubrick movies.
Yes, but all of his movies were based on books. But he took that source material and basically twisted it into his own Kubrickian sort of a story.
Yes.
And that's what he did with The Shining also.
Yes.
So here's my question.
And he actually knows how to write an ending.
Questionable.
For that.
Questionable.
I mean, more than Stephen King, at least.
But here's my question, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can't remake The Shining, right? Like, you will fucking piss people off, right?
That, right, yes, that would be just abominable. They remade that, like,
everybody would be pissed.
Yeah, I don't think there would be one person who would be like, "Oh, yay, a Shining remake."
Yeah.
It would be like, why the fuck are you touching Stanley Kubrick's movie?
So, here's my question, right?
Yeah.
We have The Overlook Hotel and Dr. Sleep. Are these movies going to be a sequel and a prequel to the Stanley Kubrick movie or to Stephen King's book?
If anything, if it's like how Hollywood likes to do shit like this, they'll probably just ignore The Shining actually happening. If they're not remaking The Shining, I don't think they'll try and fit it in. They might.
Because this is what's really confusing. You can't make Dr. Sleep without context of The Shining.
Yeah.
Right? And
they can try, though.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of those movies.
Here's my ultimate fear, right?
Yeah.
You make The Overlook Hotel, you make Dr. Sleep, get people interested, and then you remake The Shining. You build a new audience that's not going to be pissed, and then you just remake The Shining anyway.
Ultimately, if they're going where the dollar is, which they're pretty much doing with all of these movies that they're making, with all the remakes, they're just going to remake The Shining.
And this is where, like, the slippery slope comes in. Like, okay, they remake The Shining, which is one of the untouchables of the horror genre.
Yeah. Do they then go and remake Shawshank Redemption
and
or
Green Mile? Yeah. And more than that, do they remake Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile in the spirit, if you will, of this new Stephen King cinematic universe? Do they try to, like, fucking Dark Tower, The Green Mile, and Shawshank into the universe?
I don't know.
I don't like where this is going. And not just with the Stephen King shit. Yeah. I'm tired of cinematic universes. Fucking stop it.
Yes.
All right?
It was fun when Godzilla did it. And it was fun in the 30s when the Universal monsters did it.
Yes, in the 30s when it was sort of quirky and because these guys liked each other's work and they wanted to sort of play off of each other.
Yep. And had integrity.
Yes. That is not what's happening now. What's happening now is a fucking cash grab.
Yes.
Everybody in Hollywood sees how well Marvel is doing with its cinematic universe, and they all want a piece of the pie. They all want their own Beyond franchise, right? Because what you have to remember is, like, a cinematic universe is not just a franchise. It's a conglomeration of multiple franchises, and they all want a piece of it. So everybody's trying to scramble and get their own together, which is why the new cinematic or the new Universal Monsters one
oh my god, that fell
apart.
Flat on its face.
They fell on its face twice.
Yes, there were two movies that were supposed to be the first movie in the series. First one was Dracula Untold.
Yeah.
And then there was Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Which I didn't see Dracula Untold, but you and
So Dracula Untold, it's not a good movie, but it's not a piece of shit.
Okay.
It's an okay movie.
Speaking of pieces of shit,
yes.
You, me, and Francisco all saw The Mummy in a dollar theater.
Yes.
To be clear, we didn't pay full price for this.
We knew it was going to be shit, and so...
Yeah, but we could not imagine how much shit it was going to be.
I think halfway through the movie, I eventually just stopped caring.
All of us
about
did.
Everything.
We all eventually just zoned out.
Yep. I zoned the fuck out.
The movie was so goddamn boring.
And it's 2 hours long. And it felt like fucking 3 hours.
It felt like a bad 3 hours.
Yeah. It felt like fucking 5 movies in one as well.
Yeah. So that cinematic universe has fallen flat on its face twice now, and they're still trying to make more.
Yep. Legendary's Godzilla is falling flat on its face.
Oh, yeah.
Kong Skull Island did.
Yeah. Kong Skull Island was shit. I know you liked it, but...
I enjoyed it. It's one of those movies I'll throw on maybe once every 10 years, but other than that...
I will say Kong Skull Island was probably more entertaining than the fucking Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Like, people complain all the fuck you want about Godzilla 98. I will watch that movie 40 times before I'll watch Godzilla 2014.
Yep, 2014.
Yeah, before I'll watch Godzilla 2014 again. Godzilla 2014 is garbage.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be a cinematic universe where they made the Godzilla movie, then they made Kong Skull Island, and now they're going to make fucking...
It's Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Godzilla vs. King Kong.
And if I remember right, that's supposed to come out this year.
You know, you've got that one going on, then you've got the DC one, which is floundering at best.
Yes, they've canceled a lot of the movies that were in the universe.
Yeah.
So...
God, are there any others? I feel like we're... the Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star Wars. And there's the unannounced Hasbro Cinematic Universe.
Oh my God, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I told you about that.
Oh my God, and then you could even throw in the fucking Lego Cinematic Universe.
Yes, oh my God. They are making that a cinematic universe,
yes, they are.
Oh, God. I mean, sitting through the Lego movie was bad enough. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing with those Dane's rights to the Legos, but...
Yeah, so all of this cinematic universe shit needs to fucking stop. Like, I swear to God, never-ending sequels were bad enough. Now it's beyond never-ending sequels, where it's never-ending semi-sequels that all sort of have interconnecting parts. So you can't just watch one; you have to watch fucking all of them.
Yeah,
and just oh my God. Oh, and of course you have to pump multiple out every fucking year because you're not just trying to get one in your cinematic universe out a year. You're trying to get multiple in your cinematic universe out every year.
2 or 3.
Which is why, because if you're Marvel, you have your different characters, right? So you have
the character films.
Yeah, you have the Captain America,
Thor, Iron Man.
Yeah, so you have like Captain America 1 through 3. You got to have like one of those a year. You got to have a Thor movie every year, and you got to have an Iron Man movie every year.
But not Hulk because he's owned by Legendary Pictures, or not Legendary, Universal Pictures.
But you get my point. So you're not just getting one sequel a year, you're getting fucking 3 sequels a year.
Plus the team-ups.
Right. And you can't just watch, like, Captain America 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't function in a series that way.
Yeah.
You have to fucking watch all of this other shit.
Yeah, and that was something I found. I read an article that was sort of fascinating, was that the only movies you can watch standalone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are Iron Man 1 and The Incredible Hulk.
And Ant-Man. Well,
Ant-Man
still has...
Ant-Man for everything except for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cut those 15 minutes out, it could stand on its own. But Hulk, and the Incredible Hulk movie from 2008 with Edward Norton, and the first Iron Man movie, The only ones that really stand alone, mostly because Marvel really didn't have their shit together because they were busy trying to buy all their rights up again, and they wanted to go somewhere but didn't know what they were doing. And so they're sort of standalone movies. You can see Iron Man, you don't have to see Incredible Hulk, and you can see Incredible Hulk, and you don't have to see Iron Man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I fucking hate this cinematic universe shit. Yeah. I'm tired of it. I'm beyond tired of it, mostly because it's mostly comprised of superheroes, which I'm also fucking entirely done with.
Bastard subgenre.
I mean, we could do, and we probably should at some point do an entire episode just talking about superheroes.
Yes.
Because that's a whole massive subject that I have a fuckload to say about.
That's probably going to be a notebooks worthy amount of notes.
But long story short, I'm tired of superhero movies. I don't give a fuck how big the fucking alien that they fight is. Yep. I don't
The big
care.
Blue laser.
The big blue laser in the sky. I'm fucking done. Can we please move the fuck on and start making some good original content?
Yes.
Anyway, so that's my rant about cinematic universes and superheroes. God, I'm fucking
probably
done.
Not the last.
No, it won't be. Like I mean, again, going back to our first 2 episodes, I 100% blame Disney for this.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody saw what Disney did with not only Marvel, but with Star Wars.
Yep.
And everyone's like, oh, fuck, we have to do that too. Because Disney is essentially the Apple of the movie world, where it's like, whatever Apple does, the rest of the tech industry follows. Whatever Disney does, the rest of the film industry just follows. And it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, do your own goddamn thing. Have a brain. Stop being money-grubbing, disgusting slugs that just fucking want to chase a trend, you know? Yeah. Be creative. That's what film is supposed to be. It's a goddamn art form.
Except now they've turned it into a product.
I mean, it has to be a business, too. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I understand that.
A soulless product.
Yes, I understand that it has to be a business. You know, I'm not that naive or stupid. I get it. But that doesn't mean it has to be, like you said, soulless. It doesn't have to be soulless, you know? It doesn't have to have shitty half-assed writing. Here's a heads up. Writing is free, assholes.
Yep.
Like, you don't have to pay more for good writing than you do for bad. You just write, you know? Like, just, whatever.
Yes. So,
film industry pisses me off.
Now that we're speaking about soulless, should we move on to Tomb Raider? The new Tomb Raider movie.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
So, there's a new Tomb Raider movie out. This is the first one since 2003, I think.
Yeah, I think 2003 was the second one.
Yes, that was when the second one was. I watched the trailers for that, and have you seen the trailers?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Are there multiple trailers?
There's like 2 trailers.
Okay, I only saw one of them.
They're both pretty much the same thing. They have the same footage.
I will say it didn't look like your typical run-of-the-mill video game movie.
No.
It looked like it might be a little bit better than that. But, I don't know. The actress they have playing Lara Croft, I don't buy.
No. I even wrote down here, because when I was watching it, like, just the lines in the trailer just made her come off like an annoying cunt.
To be fair, she kind of does in the 2013 game.
Yep.
She kind of, I don't know. A lot of people didn't like her in that game. I didn't have a huge issue with her. I kind of liked the redesign of her in the game.
Yeah.
And how she was more slimmed down. She had more of like
less of the triangle boobs.
Yeah, she didn't have like
traffic
massive boobs where you're like
traffic cone boobs.
Yeah, where you're like, how the fuck does she go spelunking with those things? You know, she had more of an athlete's sort of a body.
Yes.
Right? Very, very slim but kind of muscular. You know, I like that. But the actress they have playing her in the movie looks like a goddamn ballerina. You know what I mean? Like, does not look like somebody who would be globetrotting or hacking her way through the jungle, you know? Like, she looks fragile.
It looks a bit better than, generic video game movie, but I still thought it looked like, just run-of-the-mill action film CG vomit fest.
It does. It does.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
My God, the oversaturation.
Yeah, the trailer was pretty highly saturated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was some bad green screening in it, too.
Yes, there was. I think overall the trailer sort of reminded me of The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
I wouldn't say it was that bad.
That's what it felt like to me when I watched it. It was just like, I was like, oh my God, this just seems like I'm running into The Mummy all over again.
I mean, it seems cynical as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it does. Because, nobody in Hollywood has an original fucking idea anymore, so they just pull shit together from the other art forms that still have original ideas and just try to make money off of them.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the movie doesn't look like, whoever made these movies really cares,
Mm-hmm.
No, it looks like, well, those games were popular.
Yep.
Let's just do that. Assassin's Creed made money, even though everybody hated it, so let's just make another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I said generic action movie, also, I think I meant in the sense of, you saw the trailer for the new Jumanji, the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. I still have not seen the movie. It's out now.
Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit.
It looked like that. It looked like Rampage World Tour.
Yeah, well,
I think they just shortened it to Rampage for the movie.
It looks like generic
rock action film. Like, it looks like it should be starring The Rock.
Well, it looks like generic adventure film, like action adventure film.
Action adventure.
Like 20 years ago, we might have called it an Indiana Jones wannabe.
Yeah,
right?
Or even that Brendan Fraser mummy wannabe.
Sure. The trailer didn't really offend me. It just looked generic, like something that I don't need to see. I watched the trailer and I was like, all right, whatever. What the like, who gives a shit?
I was fascinated that apparently Walton Goggins played the villain. Now, Walton Goggins was the sheriff in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that seems to be why everybody's interested in it. They just saw him and they were like, ooh, I like that guy, so the movie must be good.
It also, for whatever reason, had Nick Frost in it.
Mm-hmm.
With a full beard.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I saw that and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that he should be in there.
I don't know, maybe he was a fan of the game.
Possibly. Apparently, the actress that they have playing Laura was, like, a really big fan of the game.
Mm.
Like, she grew up with it, playing it all the time. At least according to the trivia.
Of this new one or the originals?
She grew up with the originals and...
Because this one is blatantly not based on the originals.
No.
This is 100% the 2013 game franchise.
I think they've even ripped off... When I was watching, I think they've ripped off a few scenes from the 2013 game as well.
Like, what do you mean ripped off? It's literally the game. It's a fucking remake of the game.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's her fucking origin story. That's what the game is.
I never beat the first game.
Neither did I.
I only played the first 10 minutes of it and then watched a random 30 minutes. So I have no idea if it's the same or not.
I got a few hours into it, but kind of got bored with it.
Yeah.
I was never big into the original games either.
Yeah.
It's just, but like, do we need a fucking origin story for Lara Croft? I mean,
no,
honestly, no. She's just supposed to be a sexy woman who fucking goes cave diving and finds treasure and shit.
Fights a T-Rex.
And fights a fucking T-Rex. She's just supposed to be a sexy female Indiana Jones. That's all she's supposed to be. We don't need an origin story for Indiana Jones. Why do we need an origin story for Lara Croft?
Yeah. And more of all, why even retell the 2013 game? The original, the adaptation from 2001 or whatever for it didn't follow the game at all. So
no, it didn't, because if you try to follow the original series of games, there's really no connective tissue. They're just completely standalone, separate things, and that's how the movie functioned also. The movie was its own thing.
Yeah. Other than that, Dominic West, who was one of the main characters in the show The Wire, plays Laura's father for some reason. It's one of those things, it's like, why are you in this role? And of course you're in this role.
Okay, so are we ready to move on?
Yeah, aside from that, the director's a nobody who's directed 5 other features, all Norwegian films, all middle-of-the-road ratings.
Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me, because they're cheap.
Yep.
I mean, that's why when you look at a lot of these new, like, ultra-big budget movies coming out, they get these super cheap directors, because it doesn't matter. One, they can pay them less, and two, like I've stated multiple times before, when it comes to movies like this, they are not directed by the directors. They are directed by a boardroom of asshole producers that are just trying to chase an audience.
Yeah. Apparently it's being made by MGM, who I guess still have the rights even after going through bankruptcy.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, MGM still exists.
Yeah, apparently they're on the title card in the trailer.
All right.
There was one interesting thing. Junkie XL does the music for this.
I don't know who that is.
He did the Wonder Woman score.
Okay.
He also did the score. He did the new Batman vs Superman. He was there with Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
In Justice League, the 2017 Justice League, he was replaced with Danny Elfman. This was not a studio decision that they replaced him, I found out. Junkie XL left Justice League specifically to do the soundtrack for this Tomb Raider film.
Sure.
Yup.
Sounds like a good bet to me.
I saw that, and that just perplexed me.
All right, we ready to move on?
Yes, we're ready to move on. That's all my note cards, by the way.
Oh, okay, so this is our final topic then. So, a few episodes ago,
all right,
we talked about Killroy Was Here.
Oh boy, what more have you found out?
Well, Kevin Smith dropped episode 389 of Smodcast, all about it. So you can go listen to that podcast, and you can listen to him talk about it. But the brief rundown and the answer to some of the questions that we asked. Yeah, so one of the questions we asked is, it's an anthology, right? Now, what does that mean? Is it a collection of short films? Is he directing all of them? Yes, it's a collection of short films. Yes, he's directing all of them, as far as I can tell. So,
all right.
Apparently, how this project started is years ago, and I actually vaguely remember him talking about this, was he was writing an anthology of Krampus stories that they canned when the Krampus movie came out. Because it's like, oh, somebody already did Krampus, so fuck it. And so that project sort of morphed into this one. And what this project is Kevin Smith was approached by a film school. It's done as a collaboration with the Ringling College of Art and Design in Florida. And they approached him. They wanted their students to have, real world experience on a real set directed by a real experienced director. I fucking wish my film school had done that.
Right.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Though knowing your film school,
yours too, briefly.
It was mine as well, briefly. Knowing them, they would probably fuck it up somehow.
Yeah, they really, really would. So yeah, it had been the Krampus movie, and it morphed into this because they had already trashed the Krampus movie, and Kevin Smith was approached, and so they were like, you know what, fuck it, we can still do a series of short films. We'll just make it about something else. I still don't know what it's about. I still don't know what this thing is about. But the entirety of the crew are all film students, which is cool. Like I don't think they have like a pro on there at all except Kevin Smith and some of the actors, which is pretty cool to me. So yeah, as far as I can tell, there's no release date on it. And yes, it will be a series of short films. I don't know how short. I don't know what they're about. But I think the whole thing is pretty cool. And if you want to hear about it in greater detail, you can go listen to that Smodcast episode number 389. Although, if you're listening to us and you haven't listened to that,
Kevin Smith,
I think there's probably something wrong with you. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Is just sort of answering a couple questions that we had, clearing up some confusion.
So that's nice to know. I'm still disappointed that we pretty much know nothing about it aside from that.
Yeah, we really don't. But it was cool to listen to the podcast because he had was like the head of the college and somebody else, one of the staff at the college, and then a couple of students, and they all sort of sat around talking about the whole production and everything. So if you're interested in that, definitely go listen to it. So are we ready to move on to our final recommendations and wrap this episode up?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll let you go first because I'm still mulling over a couple films.
You fucking lazy fuck. You didn't pick one.
No, I didn't. So I'm picking one last minute.
God damn it. All right. Well, my recommendation, and pay attention because this only works if it's a conversation.
All right.
My recommendation, since I recommended something very R-rated last week. I
don't even remember what you recommended last week.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to do a 180 and recommend something very not R-rated.
All right.
I am going to recommend Finding Neverland. This is a movie that I don't think gets enough attention. It came out, people sort of ignored it, and I don't think anybody's paid attention to it since. But it's actually a really good movie. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, you should totally go see it. It's a great performance by Johnny Depp. For those who don't know, it is about James Matthew Barrie, who is the writer of Peter Pan, the original play, not the Disney animated film. It's about him and a friendship that he had briefly with a mother who sadly died, and his relationship with her children. And it's a really good sort of slow-moving character drama. It's slow, but it's not boring. And it's a movie that I bring up a lot because it's rated PG, but it is not a kid's film, okay? It is a phenomenal example of a movie simply being what it needs to be instead of arbitrarily raising or lowering the rating to chase an audience, right? We see that all the time. R-rated concepts lowered to PG-13 or PG concepts raised to PG-13.
I mean, it's how modern films seem to work now.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. When's the last time you saw a PG movie that wasn't just straight up a kid's film?
I don't know. Probably, I think, Lawrence of Arabia. That's the last one I can remember.
Oh, fucking come on. There have been some
I don't remember
then.
others.
I mean, Jaws was rated PG, but I'm...
Right, it was.
I'm not talking about 70s movies.
Yeah, I think it was Jaws 2 that was rated R.
I don't remember. I'm not talking about 70s movies. I'm talking about modern cinema.
Okay. That's the last one I can remember seeing that was rated PG that wasn't a kid's movie.
Well, so now you can watch another one from a more modern era, fucking Grandpa.
Yeah.
Finding Neverland.
I'm younger than you.
Yeah, I know. Finding Neverland, go watch it. It's a really good drama. Don't let its PG rating scare you away like, oh, it's just a fucking kid's film. It's not. It's a good character drama. I don't know how accurate it is in terms of being a true story. But if you just watch it as a movie, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, Johnny Depp's great in it. It's one of my favorite performances of his because it's not one of his goofy sort of over the top characters. It's just a down to earth guy.
I'll have to check it out.
You should totally check it out. And yes, by the way, it is available on Blu-ray. Not really any special edition collection type anything. Just grab it on Blu-ray. It should be cheap enough.
Yes. All right. For mine, since you mentioned A Clockwork Orange, I decided.
Are you going Kubrick?
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I decided mine would be Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Okay. To be clear,
yes.
Dr. Strangelove.
Yes.
Not Doctor Strange.
Not Doctor Strange. Dr. Strangelove.
Yes.
Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yes, that is the complete title.
That is the complete title.
It is.
It is a Stanley Kubrick film that is a comedy. Starring Peter Sellers in 3 roles.
Yeah, I would argue the comedy bit. I have very mixed feelings about that movie.
I really like it.
But it is one that I do think people should see.
Yes.
However, I will not say that it is not one of my favorite movies.
All right. And that is your opinion?
I actually found it quite slow and dull.
Yeah.
And not very funny. Like, it's touted as a comedy, but I didn't think it was very funny. But it is an interesting movie. It's a very different side of Stanley Kubrick. Like, if you go watch A Clockwork Orange, you watch The Shining, and then you watch Doctor Strangelove, it's very different.
It's much more lighthearted.
Yes, it is.
That's something that I always found fascinating is the book it's adapted in air quotes.
Yeah, because it's Kubrick, of course. We just talked about that.
That it's adapted from he fucking hated that book. He thought it was a dumb book, and so he decided he was going to make fun of the book, and he had written a straight comedy, like, slapstick humor style comedy, and then decided to scale it way the fuck back.
Okay, sure.
I did find Peter Sellers pretty funny at parts.
I find Peter Sellers really funny as Dr. Strangelove. Yeah. His other characters, not so much.
I enjoyed the British soldier, and I don't remember the third character.
I don't remember the third character either. Oh, and it also, on the plane, features a very, very, very young James Earl Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, Peter Sellers was funny in it as Dr. Strangelove. I mean, I still quote the bit that he does at the end, which I won't spoil. But yeah, I found that funny, but the rest of it was just sort of slow to me.
I found it a lot more entertaining and funny than you did. It's still fascinating. You watch the movie and then you learn about the production of the movie, and the production just it was very weird and kind of entertaining, which is how vindictive Kubrick was to making fun of this book.
Well, Kubrick was just sort of a vindictive person. I mean, if you watch the special features on The Shining and see the way he treated Shelley Duvall, holy God.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Kubrick was not like the nicest of people.
Yeah,
no.
Though he did not abuse Peter Sellers, from what I know. In fact,
it's because he liked Peter Sellers.
Yes, in fact, Peter Sellers abused everybody else on set.
Yeah.
So that was very fascinating to learn about. There's not really much to say about the movie story-wise without, ruining the movie and the ending and all that.
I will say, like, this movie was made 50s?
60s, I think.
If it was 60s, it was very early 60s. It's black and white, but don't let the movie's age deter you, because it's a very political film, so a lot of people might just be like, and brush it off and be like, oh, it's outdated politics. It's actually more relevant now, arguably, than it was when it was made. It's fucking terrifying.
Actually thinking about it and thinking about the, current everything.
Yeah.
That is pretty fascinating at how Kubrick managed to somehow nail today's political environment.
It's disturbing. It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want that movie,
it's on Criterion.
Okay. Yes. There are a couple different collections.
Yep.
Now, I got it in the digibook form, which I should say is a nice digibook.
Yes, it is.
But as soon as I got it in the mail, you saw me holding it, right when I got it, and you're like, oh, Criterion's releasing that, right? And I was like, fuck!
Yeah, like, it's coming out in a month. Why do you have that version?
So yeah, I do not have the Criterion version, but I do have the lovely digibook version.
And it's
hopefully
a nice
I'll be upgrading at some point. But yeah, the Criterion version looks nice. It's one of their weird ones that's in like the cardboard box.
Yep.
Which I don't actually have any of those. I plan on getting there are a couple that I want, but yeah. So it is on Criterion. It's
got a lot of bonus materials with it.
Yeah.
As well.
So if you're gonna get it and you really care about collecting movies, then grab the Criterion. If you want a bit of a cheaper version, then you can get the digibook, and then of course there's just like standard Blu-rays that are floating around out there as well.
And as with pretty much I think all Criterions that I've seen at this point, the transfer is fucking amazing.
Well, of course, it's Criterion.
Even the standard Blu-ray transfer is pretty good.
I still question why the fuck Criterion transfers half of their shit in 2K instead of 4K. I don't understand, but whatever.
The world may never know. It's
a
topic for another thing.
It's a topic we've already discussed, actually.
It's true. It is true.
So yeah, this has been episode 5 of the official Watz podcast. Fuck you guys again. Is that going to be our standard outro, is just telling our audiences to fuck themselves?
I think
or suck a dick or something along those lines.
At this point, I'm sure that's the outro, is just you telling everybody to go fuck themselves.
We really need to think of a better outro, but for now, go fuck yourself, go suck a dick.
Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone it may be for you when you're watching this.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Good night.